We're here with four Brookville natives, class of 79, and we'll joke about the class of 79 and on how that relates to the Pittsburgh Pirates here, I'm sure, at some point in this podcast. But we have Vince Benigni, Jeff Miller, Milo Milford, and John Hammer. These guys just finished a project, or I don't even know what you guys called this, and we'll talk about how you guys got it organized, where you watched ball games in every major league ballpark. And that is an awesome thing to talk about. And we'll start with John Hammer because, John, you got credit for a lot of this organization. Tell me first from your angle how this got started and how this was so much fun with three other buddies.
Well, quite frankly, I'm very blessed to have them. We call each other brothers. We've been very close for a long time. I think we were just sitting around. We had been to a lot of games out in Cleveland and Pittsburgh together and stuff like that. And one day, I think we all just got started talking like, let's try a change of pace. We just kind of all threw it out there and we were like, that's a good idea. The problem was we knew we couldn't, I've heard of younger guys, like in college, you could do like 30 stadiums in like 3 years. Well, we all had jobs, wives, kids, or whatever. We were all busy. So we just thought the first few years, we thought we'd get the clumps where we could do 3 cities at one time. So the first year we did the old Philly, Baltimore, and DC, and we just went from there. Everybody was in, and sometimes the tough part was finding dates that, rolled in with all 3 stadiums and stuff in our work schedules. But after that, Vince has been into baseball. All of us have, but Vince has been in, and he was a big leader on that too. So at this point, my hat's off to Vince for that too. But that's what started it. We just had a dream. We thought we could get it done, Rich, in probably 10 years. But when COVID hit, obviously everything changed. What
was your first game, John? What year?
It was in 2010.
Okay.
Yes. Pretty sure it was 2010. We did the, like I said, we went to Philly, then Baltimore, and then we did Washington. Yeah, I always wanted to see, go to Camden Yards. And it was a thrill. All of them were, but that was a great time. So,
Vince, was this a hard sell for you guys? John's saying it, you guys kind of brought it up, and you've seen a lot of other stadiums as well across the country that's not even in operation right now, and we'll get to that maybe. But what was so much fun about the planning stages, which you said John did a lot of this, but just spending time with your buddies at ballparks, it can't be much better than that.
No, it's been amazing. I've enjoyed every minute of it. We go way back in terms of our love of baseball. And not only did Armin and I listen to games almost every day for years when we were kids, but Jeff Miller lived just up the road from me, and we'd listen to the Pirate games with the Gunner, Bob Prince, and Milo wasn't quite as big a baseball fan, I don't think, when he was as young as us, but now Milo's this Cleveland Guardian season ticket holder and watches almost every game, so we've all become just huge fans. And one thing about that first trip I remember, we were in a lot better shape, at least I was back then, and we toured the Washington monuments and the mall and walked. Must have been about 98 degrees and humid, and we walked all over that day. And then I met up with some old college buddies at a happy hour with the 4 of us. And the game, I don't think there was a breath of wind during that game. And we were having a couple beers, and after a while, we're like, man, if this is going to be this tough, I'm not sure we're going to be able to make all 30 stadiums. And all we were doing was sitting around watching baseball.
Right. Jeff, what really, we'll get into our different highlights of the ballparks, but what really was the fun part about this? The ballpark and the game's one thing, but you get to see so many different cities. How much fun was that to see the country that way?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody else was, but I wasn't expecting that part of it to be such a big deal. To see all the different sites in the cities, like Vince said, and that was in DC, but in every city we went to, seeing the I don't know what you want to call it, culture of that city or whatever, in the sites of that city, that was, and just hanging out with these guys doing that was the best part for me. It was really fun.
Milo, was it the love of these other guys' baseball that got you hooked a little bit more? Vince said you weren't really a baseball guy early on, but you're in a pretty good baseball city right now, and they said Vince said you have season tickets. How fun was this to get reacquainted or get fired up about this sport?
Oh, it was great. I really did enjoy going to every city, like Jeff said. I think that was the fringe benefit. But just seeing different ballparks, different stadiums, and they were really interesting to tour and go there. But we also toured a lot of football stadiums as well while we were in there. We probably did at least 5 or 6 that I can think of right off the top of my head. So again, I think more just going with these guys, being around these guys. Baseball started to rub off on me, and I really do enjoy the Guardians at this point. So I'm always rooting for them, but I also root for the Pirates for sure. Hoping to see the Guardians and Pirates in a World Series sometime. That'd be great.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. So how many games how many games a year do you watch the Guardians in person?
Probably about 8 years ago, I was going to probably like 20 or 22, but we toned it down. We're probably down to about 12. So my wife has to go to the home opener all the time, but the home opener in Cleveland is always kind of dicey as far as the weather goes. So I stopped going a while ago, but she still enjoys the home opener. So she has 1 or 2 on me, but about 10, about 2 a month, and it's a good opportunity for us to see several different teams that we play. So,
right. John, how much of a challenge was it to? I guess maybe price point is a bigger deal for people than others. How did you guys balance the price point with the timing that sometimes you have to bite the bullet, right? Some places are just plain more expensive. What were some of the challenges you had in some of these stops?
Well, something, it was a work in progress. I mean, there was times, like you said, it was, budgeting the flights, rent-a-cars, hotels. I'll be the first to admit there was a couple of rent-a-car places that I look back now and I saw they had like 26, 25% approval ratings and stuff. We actually ended up getting one. We did. It was down in Miami, was the worst. I ended up in a slum area. And then they told me I had to have the car insurance or they weren't going to give it to me. And we fought. I mean, it was just bad. But it was not easy. Milo and Jeff and Vince, anything I pretty much decided, they said, go with it. Rich, I would send them like 300-word text about what was going on, what I thought. And I'd get back the thumbs up or okay. And that was about my input. They never complained. I mean, it was, they did. But we had some, I threw in a couple of clunkers on the hotels too. I won't kid you, but we had a lot of fun. Like I said, these guys really didn't care about how much it cost. And, my wife, Charlotte, always gave me like $5 extra a week allowance if she knew I was going somewhere. So God bless her for that. But no, usually I tried to be honest with you, Rich. I tried to stay away from the cheapest places because you get what you pay for. It's one of those things.
Right.
And as far as the extracurricular activities, Rich, I'll tell you this much. All 3 of these guys had input on, sightseeing and that helped a lot. So.
Well, before we get into stadium specific stuff, I like that. I have a buddy that heard that I was doing this, and he was like, ask them this, ask them that, ask them this, because there were several places where he's been where he was like, man, I didn't realize that city was that awesome, because it wasn't just because of the ballpark. We'll start with Vince. Favorite trip you guys made, or, and it wasn't just related to the baseball game because of what else you guys experienced. What jumps out at you?
Well, it's tough to narrow it down to one. One thing I did want to mention, and then I'll tell you the one I think I liked the best, was we were able to meet a few class of 79 buddies on the road. Sam Goodwill lives in Seattle, so him and his boy came and met us for the game. And Paul Lindemuth and Matt Zentz live in L.A. And we met with some other folks in games as well. So that was a pretty big highlight. I think maybe an underrated city was Kansas City. Negro League Museum is there. We got to see a concert with the guy from BTO and Randy Bachman. played all the great hits from both of those bands. And Jeff Miller saved the day by grabbing the last 4 stools in the bar, or 4 60-year-old men would have had to stand for 4 hours. So we had some good times along the way.
Jeff, what trip jumps out at you? Maybe something other than what Vince said.
Yeah, like Vince said, though, it's hard to just turn it then into one. But probably for me would be the San Francisco trip and seeing Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge and the Redwood Forest. To me, that was the high.
How far was the Redwood Forest from the city?
Do you guys remember? It didn't seem like very long.
An hour?
About a half hour.
That would definitely be on my list if I'm going to San Fran. No doubt about it. Milo, what any other places that really jumped out to you as far as great trip?
They were all great for sure, and I think everybody will echo that. And each city had its own unique thing. I can probably name something from every city, but New York is one that probably surprised me a little bit more, because just going to New York, I mean, it's a huge city and there's a diverse culture and everything, but not one time did I feel threatened. Transportation was easy. We were able to eat well. We saw, different things, the 9/11 museum. We were down on Broadway. We saw a play. I mean, we did a lot while we were there. And again, I didn't feel threatened at all. It was, we'd walk through the, train station and everything, and it was very casual. I mean, it was an interesting experience. It's different than what I thought it would be.
John, anything to add to other than those three?
Well, Jeff took my first pick. Vince took my second. Milo seriously took my third. Kansas City was gorgeous.
Right.
Vince, you said, who said San Fran? You, Vince?
Me.
Jeff.
Jeff, you got to tell the story about the San Fran tour here in a second. But other than that, Rich, I'll tell you what, I really liked Houston. Dallas trip was great. We went to Houston and we went to the Space Center. As much as it sounds like it'd be boring, we got to eat lunch with an astronaut and stuff like that. It was just an honor to meet this guy, and he was terrific. We had a great time there. And I think it was really neat just driving through that 8-lane traffic with 6 levels of overpasses. It was just unreal. And I know it sounds weird, but it was just great to do that. It was a great area down there. So,
well, what's your San Fran story, Jeff?
Well, John can tell it better than I can. That's for sure. We went and we got kind of a special tour with one of the tour guides there, and he took us up to some places that they don't normally take people to, and it was like the psych ward and stuff, and it was it was kind of a little bit freaky, but it was pretty neat.
We're here with Milo Milford, John Hammer, Vince Benigni, and Jeff Miller, the ballpark foursome that went and toured all the ballparks around the country. And as John, I think you said, it took you guys 16 years to do it. Your last trip was where, John?
It was in Phoenix. And we saw the Pirates out there in May. Okay. And the Pirates won 2 of the games, 1-0. The game we saw them, they lost 9-0. But they rallied, I think, with a walk in the 9th. So but it was great. We had a great time.
Does anybody remember what the Pirates' record was on this tour? I mean, you had to cross their paths more than a couple times.
They had a winning record. I remember I think they were like 3 games above 500. Rich.
Okay,
so exactly that.
Yeah. So I mean, would you have gone to any of these parks? And anybody can answer here, where you watch more than one game there, because maybe the schedule worked out that way. You're not just trying to get one game everywhere, I'm guessing. Vince?
Well, actually, it turned out that's all we did. And okay. I don't think that was a choice. It was just that we had some other things we wanted to do while we were there. We wish we would have had another day in Boston. We'll get to that story in a bit. But generally, we went to one game and we'd go take a boat trip one day, and we'd do something else another day. And so we only saw one game, but we did get to go to a San Antonio Spurs game the year after they won the championship with Tony Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, and got tickets. and it was a great game. And just we got to do a few of those different kinds of things, concerts. In fact, we saw an Eagles tribute band in Phoenix just a couple months ago, and they were awesome. It was a lot of fun. So we tried to spread it out a little bit.
So Milo, what's the best games you saw? Somebody mentioned it. It might have been John. The near perfect game by a guy by the name of oh man, I had it here.
Petit.
Usmero Petit. I mean, you almost saw a perfect game. There's only like 23 in the history of baseball. What was that like? Did you guys knew what you were watching there?
Yep. Up until about the sixth inning, I didn't really think about it, but then these guys kind of said something. I'm like, oh wow! So the sixth, the seventh, the eighth rolled around, and it was getting more exciting. The crowd was getting more into it. It was pretty neat. But then there was some sad sighs right when the guy finally got a hit. So that's how it ended. But it was pretty close.
Any brawls, Jeff?
No.
Player, what's the craziest thing? Because we always joke. Every time you go to a baseball game, something happens you never saw before. Is there any of those type of moments come out? And it could be people in the crowd too. I don't know.
Well, if I can get back to Phoenix, word got around because you talk to the people beside you and everything about who you are, what you're doing there, all that. And I think Milo was talking to the guy next to him, and word spread that this was our final game of our whole our odyssey, if you want to call it that. And we were treated like rock stars. I mean, there were people coming up wanting to get their picture taken. A little boy came up with a baseball from a foul ball, or a coach threw to him or whatever, and wanted us to have it, And everybody was coming up to talk to us, and that was pretty cool.
It is amazing how a bunch of baseball fans start talking and word gets around. How cool was that, John, when people realized that you guys had put some effort into doing something that, you hear about this. Some people tried to do it all in 1 year. That I don't know how you can pull that off. That's crazy. But you did it.
It was just, it's like he said, especially at that game. I mean, there were a lot of people that come over and shook our hand, congratulated us. And, like I said, that young man, I was stunned. And like I said, I'll bet there was 20 some people wanted their picture with us and that. And it was just, actually, it was pretty humbling. I mean, makes you realize how blessed we are that we all made it. I don't take that for granted at all. With health issues or whatever, aging. But it was a blessing. It was a blessing and very humbling. So,
all right. So I asked you guys for your favorite 5 and your worst 5, and you guys qualified some of that naturally with some answers. Hey, it poured at Boston, so I got to make that on my list because it sucked that day. But what I did look at is among the 4 of you, only 8 parks were mentioned as far as your favorite. Now you guys don't know what the other guys did, so I didn't do a scoring system or anything. But I'm going to ask each of you guys, and you can I don't defend your answer or tell us why. So we'll start with you, Jeff. Your best 5: Pittsburgh, San Fran, San Diego, Baltimore, and Citi Field in New York. Well, your main reason why PNC is the best.
I'm probably partial because I'm from here. But just the view of the city and everything is very nice, and it's just awesome. From what we had from Three Rivers to PNC, such a huge difference. And yeah, I'm just partial to PNC.
San Francisco was mentioned. Actually, we'll go to San Francisco is Milo's number 1. We'll let him go on that one. But the one city that has the one park that you guys all had was San Diego. That's the only one. Why San Diego so special, Jeff?
The layout and with the outfield the way it is and up against the buildings and stuff, and it was just so different. And to me, it was just very different, and I just thought it was really cool.
And then you mentioned Baltimore. I've been to Baltimore. I love Baltimore. Citi Field, and we'll go to Vince here because you're the only guy that picked Dodger Stadium. And again, my stadium buddy Chris Rossetti has been to LA. He absolutely loves it. It is a very unique place. What can't you tell when you're watching a game at Dodger Stadium, Vince? What are we missing on TV? Because when you're there, it's a huge experience, literally.
Well, it is one of the bigger stadiums and one of the older stadiums, and there's great history there. I think Willie Stargell was the only person to ever hit a home run out of Dodger Stadium. He did it twice. And basically, if you hit out of Dodger Stadium, you're hitting it next to a mountain because the mountains are overlooking the outfield, and it's just a really cool place and great fans and neat atmosphere. I mean, I love the other 4 parks you guys mentioned. In fact, I think on my list. But of course, LA has such a steep history in baseball. But I thought of Willie Stargell because, man, hitting 500-foot home runs out of that stadium. When you look at the stadium, you can't believe someone hit the ball out of that place.
So,
Crazy.
Are Dodger dogs as good as I've heard?
I had one. I think it was pretty darn good.
You guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Milo will tell you different. His favorite dog.
Okay, we'll get to Milo here in a second. So your list, Vince, and I should mention all of it. LA was 1, PNC 2, City Park was 3, Petco was 4, Camden 5. Jeff had City Field on the list. You were the only 2 had on the list. So what's the City Field allure? Is it kind of the experience being in New York or what? It's a big stadium.
If I remember correctly, Jeff, remind me if I'm wrong. There's a big atrium when you walk into the entrance.
Yes.
And it's just huge and colorful. And there's a museum right when you walk through. When you get into the stadium, there's a Mets museum, and it's just really well laid out. And I just thought it was a sharp looking one of the newer
subway drops you off right there too.
What's that, Jeff?
The subway drops you off right there.
Oh, yeah.
With the entrance, basically.
Okay. Milo, you're the guy that has San Fran number 1. And a lot of polls, I always hear it's either San Fran 1, PNC 2. There's a lot of people that publicize it that way. You go Giants, Royals, Cardinals, Orioles, Padres. So the San Fran Park, and I would agree, just not being there, but that would be up high on a lot of people's lists. What struck you when you went to San Fran?
I think they show it on TV all the time when a long home run is hit, and it goes into the bay, and it's kind of cool. And you're seating when you're looking at the outfield, and you're on the infield, seating. You just see this beautiful skyline, and it is really cool. And they have a big Coca-Cola neon light up there. I don't know. It was just the view. I could just sit there with no game and just kind of look around. It was really, really neat that way. I enjoyed it. And it was in a really nice part of the neighborhood. So it was a good experience. But one of the other stadiums that I think I wanted to say Dodgers, but also Kansas City was really cool. And because it's really old, but they have updated it very well without changing the structure very much. And I really thought they've done a wonderful job, recreating, it right in the same area. So it was neat. Very cool.
You were the only one to mention St. Louis, and that, you always hear St. Louis is an awesome baseball town. They played in a cookie cutter before they built this stadium, which kind of gives me the same feel watching on TV. Why was it number 3 on your list?
St. Louis has like a mall right connected to the stadium. So in that mall area, it's not like a typical mall, but it's like an open area, and there's restaurants all the way around, and the parking is really fairly close there too. So you park your car and you can go there, and you can go there a couple hours ahead of time and eat, and there's shops and different things to do, and it's right there. And then you walk right into the stadium, so you could actually spend 6 to 8 hours there without any issue. And I really like that format, and Atlanta is very, very similar. So I would have said Atlanta, but as far as that kind of structure and that pattern, those two are kind of stand out because it was a neat experience.
So, John, your top 5: PNC, San Fran, KC, LA, San Diego. We've kind of talked about all those, but PNC obviously is an easy one to love, and San Francisco's number 2. And you had a lot of good to say about Kansas City. Why PNC? And tell me something else about those 5 that really struck you that you haven't heard yet.
Well, the skyline, you just can't beat the skyline at PNC. It was just gorgeous. The Clemente Wall, obviously we're homers on that as far as that goes. But, even the seats. I mean, to be honest with you, Rich, there are some stadiums like, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but like Cincinnati, if your shoulders are more than like 12 inches wide, I swear it was just tight. I don't know what it was, but Pittsburgh's comfortable. There's not a bad seat really in the place, and the same with San Francisco. I mean, it just had a beautiful view outlooking, and so did Kansas City. I mean, the settings and out through the outfield were beautiful. You know, Seattle wasn't. It was pretty darn good too. So,
okay.
You know, that's pretty much. I hope that answers your question. But they're just beautiful cities, beautiful fields.
Well, I'll give you a first. And now we're going to go to the four of you combined to come up with about 9 city parks on your worst. And I guess I should qualify this, and you guys can clarify as well when we talk about it. It's not necessarily the city around it. You know, it could be just the ballpark, because I'm sure some of these places have some awesome places to go if you're not going to the game. So, John, we'll start with you. We'll go snake draft here. You guys, 3 of the 4 of you listed the old Oakland Coliseum as the worst place to go watch a baseball game, and you were one of them. You have the A's, White Sox, Tampa, Colorado, and then Cincy/Detroit is your 6 that you listed. Tell me something why Oakland was not that great.
Well, you know, Rich, to be honest with you, I was, being a Raiders fan, it was even bad when the Raiders were there. I mean, I saw a few games there. It was just there were, seriously, there was sewage issues. It stunk. The baseball game, I mean, it's just a dreary stadium. If there was 600 people in that ballpark, I'm serious. There's 2,000. I mean, we were down the first baseline. And honest to God, Rich, if there was a foul ball going down fairly close to the foul pole, if it weren't for 2 people making out about halfway through the outfield, I could have got every foul ball that night. There was nobody there. It was a big empty. And what else? I'll tell you something else. Al Davis built what they call Mount Davis up there, which is a high. They were like, I swear, they were 800 feet in the air, sideline seats, and it just made it even look uglier than that. So I'll pretty much just leave it at that. It was just not pretty.
I'm guessing you guys might go to Vegas to get that, the new A's stadium that's supposedly coming. I'm guessing that won't be a hard trip for you guys to make in the near future, right?
I think we can do that. I think we can do that.
Milo, you also list the A's, but the other one that I was interested in hearing some feedback was the Rays, followed by White Sox, Yankees. Now, you got some feedback on the Reds, but Nationals and Comerica in Detroit with the Tigers. The Rays, we're told, is miserable because of the location regarding the city, and it was a dome that's pretty dreary if you watch. Am I right there? What was the problem with that venue?
Yeah, it was, and it was older, and I think they're changing their stadium like right now, aren't they? But it just was kind of dreary and drab, and there was nothing special even in the concourse area that I can remember. It just nothing really stood out. It was a neat ballpark, so we were there, we saw it, but I don't remember much more about it. Oftentimes things stand out to you when you go to some of these other ballparks. So, and Detroit, it just is a big structure. It's almost more like a football stadium. Same thing with White Sox. I mean, that's what I thought when we were walking up to it. It just looks like a football stadium rather than a quaint ballpark.
Did Yankee Stadium? Did any of you guys go to the old stadium? And there's a lot of people that aren't real thrilled about what they did with the new one. I mean, did anybody go to Old Yankee?
I never did.
I did not.
Which is kind of interesting from your crew. You would have been old enough to catch that back in the glory days, or the 70s or whatever. But I don't think that might have been a fun place back in the 70s. Not to stereotype that era, but
right.
Vince, you list A's, Rays, White Sox. You only gave me 3, so you must have really liked every place. What struck you about some of these places that just didn't thrill you? I mean, are any of these places bad stadiums with great surroundings?
Well, obviously, New York. I did not list Yankee Stadium, but New York has everything in the free world you want to see. So it's a great city. That just Yankee Stadium isn't for everybody. I do have a quick story though. I was at Yankee Stadium with the guys, And Brett Gardner is an acquaintance of mine. I know him a little bit.
Oh.
And the outfielder for the Yankees. And his dad came over to see us during the game. And Jeff was with me, and the other guys were down sitting down. And, Jeff is so quiet. I was wondering if I would just introduce him, maybe say a couple of words. And Jeff's telling this guy his life story. I didn't get a word in. I was so happy to see this guy. I didn't say anything. Jeff's talking about, oh, yeah, my dad owns this welding company, and, we do all this. And we're big farm people. And I'm like, good seeing you, Mr. Gardner, as he left. So that was the memory of Yankee Stadium.
Not quite the way it went.
We'll let you defend yourself here in a second, Jeff. But really, as you guys have all said, and you guys did a really great job of describing why the experience was good, and it wasn't necessarily just because of what was going on in the ballpark. And that's where we've seen the trend where these cities are trying to make an experience. And St. Louis is the one that got my attention when Milo was explaining how awesome that was. But is that the case, Vince, as far as kind of summing up good experiences and bad?
Well, one park we didn't talk about that was on the list for everybody, I think, was the White Sox.
Yeah.
And Chicago is an incredible city. We got to do the Second City comedy tour. We did boat trips down the river and the Miracle Mile. We did so many things there. But generally, I can't think of a bad experience we had. Those 3 or 4 stadiums, we still had a blast. Still a lot of good baseball. So Oakland, you'd have to see to believe. It's obviously no one will have to worry about that anymore. But that place wouldn't pass any inspection anywhere.
That's crazy, Jeff. I'll let you defend yourself with the Gardner conversation. First of all, is Vince accurate with that, and then we'll get to your list.
No, Vince is not very accurate with that. Mr. Gardner was a great guy. He was going on, and we just hit it off, and we were talking, and he just was a down to earth guy that you could, and it was so easy to talk to him. And I don't know, we just hit it off, I guess. And but he was a great guy, and I was surprised he even took the time to talk to me.
So your list has Rays the worst, Miami, Yankees, Detroit, and Oakland. So we've kind of talked about all those. Why Miami?
I think for me, that was more maybe of a city type of thing. I wasn't real impressed with Miami. I didn't like it. And so maybe the stadium I didn't like, though, too. I mean, I just something about it. The games were great, but I just didn't – Miami wasn't for me. And the same with the Yankee Stadium. It was too concrete, too, blocky, and too, it was nothing special about it. I had a big expectation of going to New York and seeing Yankee Stadium, and it wasn't what I expected at all.
I've always wanted to go to Madison Square Garden at some point for an NBA game or even a college game because of the aura around that. Sort of your expectation too, Jeff, and it just didn't match it.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, I was expecting way more from Yankee Stadium, and it was just not what I was expecting at all.
So Wrigley Field doesn't show up anywhere in your list, so it's somewhere in the middle, even though you guys all sign off on Chicago being awesome. Why not Wrigley? Anybody have a strong opinion on that? Yes, Milo.
I don't know why I didn't put Wrigley. That was one that I did want to put, and we actually were there twice. That's the one ballpark we actually were there twice. First time we went, we actually toured it, so we never saw a ball game. So then we had to have a repeat performance, and we went back and saw it. But Wrigley, to me, is probably right up there. I wanted to be in the top 5, but the thing that I find out that's kind of cool is you're walking along and or you get the subway and you're going down the street looking at the address and there's buildings all around and not high as structures or no skyscrapers or anything. It's in a neighborhood, so you're walking along and then all of a sudden there's a stadium there, and that was pretty cool. And then when you're sitting inside, you see all the bleachers on top of houses, and they sell tickets in those bleachers, and that was very, very unique. I mean that. There's a couple others that were in the downtown area, but not like right in a neighborhood. Fenway, I suppose you could say that's in the neighborhood too. But Chicago really, the Wrigley Stadium really got to me. I thought it was really, really cool.
John,
I was going to ask you, Rich,
go ahead,
real
Vince.
quick. Wrigley Field was the only field that divided us during our 30 trips. I don't know if the guys mentioned this in their emails, but we sat behind a real big pole. One thing about these old stadiums that they have these undesired sight lines from here to there, and about 2 innings in, Milo and Hammer looked at each other and like, we got to ditch Miller and Benigni here and try to find a seat where we can watch the game. And sure enough, those guys roll down there, grab a couple drinks. I think Jeff, we didn't see him till the end of the game, did we?
It was a while, yeah.
I love that park, but it's just the seats are a little bit tight, but it's got incredible history.
What you got, John?
It does, but I just want to throw something in there. It wasn't my fault, Rich. I actually got those tickets on Ticketmaster. That's we went to Fenway. At least the Fenway tickets said obstructed view. These ones did not. And ask Milo, you could see the back arm of the pitcher and the umpire. In between was nothing. And it was just like, you got to be kidding me. But it was just, like I said, at least there was no obstructed view or anything on that ticket. And it was still the same price. But every pole around there, Rich, there was a circle around them of empty seats. It was just common knowledge. And we didn't know. But one thing I'll say about Wrigley Field, if I may, is it's the only stadium I know of where there's a chance to have free parking for your car. There's actually a parking lot a mile away that they run about 50 school buses to and from the stadium, which was pretty cool. So, it saved us $40, $50 doing that. It was impressive. And it's even on the Cubs website. So if anybody out there is ever going to get a Wrigley Field and they have a car, I would look into that. It was very good.
I guess we'll give you this question too, John. You guys can give all kinds of advice for different stadiums on what to do or what maybe not to do. You just gave some really good advice for the Chicago Cubs game. What's some of the general things that you really should watch for when you're looking to go to a field where maybe a stadium you've never been to before?
Well, I'll tell you the worst one, and I hate to go back to it, Rich, but it's like even when I was there with Charlotte at football games, there's hotels by the Oakland Coliseum and there's gas stations there, and Milo will attest. I've went to 2 gas stations right by the ballpark, and every time you get out of your car and you're pumping gas, somebody will come up and start wiping your windshield and trying to clean it for money. So, my better half freaked out when it happened. When I was with the 4 guys, I handed him a couple bucks just to get rid of them. Went back to pumping gas, right? And he went over to Milo and he held his hand out. He wanted paid again. And it was kind of a weird situation. Milo growled at him and said, "You've already been paid once. Get out of here," or something along that line. But that's one area you just really got to be careful. The subway was the same way. I wouldn't do that again. As far as the other cities, everything was pretty decent. We didn't, there was no violence or any issues or anything like that when we were at these places. So we were blessed. So that's pretty much all I had to say.
Any tips, Jeff, on what to do if you're going to a stadium for the first time?
Well, there are certain cities where the traffic is just horrendous. We were, close to Toronto, and it was, stop and go. It took us probably, like a half hour to go 3 blocks type of thing. It's just, it was just horrible in Toronto. I didn't expect that either, of things I didn't expect. When LA, you expect it, but Toronto, I wasn't thinking it was going to be that way. So you got to leave early in some of these places. Right. That's for sure.
Milo?
Fortunately, there's one guy in this group that does a lot of good research, and he plans it all. He checks out everything. He checks out the cities. He actually follows Highway Jim. Did I get it right this time, Armin?
Freeway Jim. Yep, I did.
This guy, that he researches everything. So between the hotels and the tickets and all that, and going back to the tickets and going to one game, we were very fortunate that we never had to go the next day to a game. But even Armin had planned if we missed it this day, we could possibly go the next day. So all the trips were planned around just in case of a rain or a delay or anything like that. So So because of his research, we didn't have any issues with hotels, accommodations, food, ballparks, nothing. So only one guy got sick one time. Unfortunately, it was Jeff.
Okay. Vince, any advice, anything that really made that the key things that makes a trip like any trip like that a success?
Well, I think the thing is the anchor is the friendship. You tell the same stories on every trip, and you laugh just as hard. And you go to the game, and baseball is great because you don't have to necessarily pay attention to every pitch. It's a little bit more relaxed, and you're outside, and it's just great atmosphere. And so even we laugh at Boston. We didn't really talk about Boston, but it just torrentially poured at Fenway Park in the second and third inning, and it was flooding in the stadium. I mean, torrential flooding when you're walking, and we just sort of laughed it off. I think we went out and had a couple drinks and got something to eat, and we were like, "Man, Fenway Park!" We were all excited, and just got drenched. And you just have to take it with a grain of salt. But all the trips were great.
When's the next trip? You have something up, Mr. Hammer? You have something planned yet?
Oh, we were looking at football trips. I didn't know if these guys were psychologically, emotionally wore out or anything like that, Rich. I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna lie to you. Between the four of us, usually I make a few wisecracks. The first couple of days they're funny, and then it starts to get old, and it hurt. Hey, I will say one thing back on this, Rich, if I may. Jeff was right about Toronto. It's the only place in my life I ever seen where cars tried to sneak in front of other cars on the off ramp to the stadium. They would pass. I mean, there was the traffic was a mile or so back, but cars would try to come up and pull right in and merge in, and nobody would let them through. I was waiting for some kind of road rage. You're right, Jeff. That was very interesting. Plus, I will say that every game we did have one tradition. Jeff would usually get up in the fourth inning of every ballpark, and he would go up and take pictures of everything, Rich, which was really impressive.
Well,
so
I'd like to see. And we talked before we started recording. I'd like to see some of those photos for maybe a story in the Jeffersonian Democrat. I think I would really enjoy that. Guys, we could talk forever on this. I really appreciate all the coordination we put together on this. Shout out to Linda Barnes on giving me the tip that you guys were really doing this, and I'm sure she's anxious to hear what you guys have to say. And boy, I envy you. I've been in this business a long time. I just don't have time to make these trips. What field? And I'll end with this. If you guys are all historical or baseball fans to some degree historically, what field would you want to go to right now if it was available to watch a game, Vince?
Well, as far as
any historical stadium,
I would guess probably Lambeau.
Okay.
If you're talking about any sport, Lambeau probably would be. There's so many out there, but I would think I wouldn't mind going to a Montreal Canadiens game just because of the history of that hockey club, and but that would be just a couple.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, you're talking baseball, or are you talking
anything? He mentioned a couple different ones, so you're allowed to.
Well, like you said, Madison Square Garden, to see some, big game, NBA, whatever, would be nice. But the historical stadiums that we saw, like say Dodger Field could have been on my list. Dodgers and Wrigley too. So they're awesome. I'd go anytime to see something there again.
John?
Honestly, we toured it, but something? Arrowhead Stadium would be one place. That it would be loud. Just like to see it one time.
That's interesting. Milo?
I think I would like to go to the new Buffalo Stadium. I've been to the old Buffalo Stadium, but the new Buffalo Stadium, they are incredible fans up there. They're diehard. It's in a terrible weather area. So that's one I'd like to go to. But the main thing is, as long as there's a casino close by, and they were on many of these trips. So that was another thing that wasn't said. And we hit it. We hit about as many as we possibly could. So that was fun.
My choice would be Polo Grounds, New York City, and maybe I get lucky and watch Willie Mays play center field. That would be cool.
Nice.
I would go there,
Perfect.
and I believe one of you guys claimed that Vince, I think, Forbes Field.
Yeah, Jeff, I think went Forbes Field too.
Yeah, I was there also.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
And, these guys,
ahead.
real quick, Rich. Milo got to go to the 7th game of the World Series in Cleveland against the Cubs. So talk about an incredible atmosphere. And Jeff and Armin went to the playoff game where Polamalu intercepted Joe Flacco in the playoffs. So they've got to see some great games.
We were at the Cueto game too.
Oh yeah, Johnny Cueto.
Yeah. I did go to the Cueto game on a standing room only ticket, left field corner, and that is something I will never forget. That's my biggest claim right now. I can't get any better than that at this point. Hey guys, thanks for your time. Enjoy your stadium tours of the future. I think you guys are going to enjoy your time no matter what you do.
Hey, thank you, Rich. And don't forget, it's not too late, Rich. You're not too old. Go do it anyway. Go live it up. Life's a gift.
Just get started.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.